The EU has joined the likes of the US, Canada, and Australia as it moved to designate Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terror organization.
US President Donald Trump said Russia agreed to not strike Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities for 1 week as the country is experiencing freezing temperatures.
The European Union has agreed to designate Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, known as the IRGC, as a terrorist organization. The gesture is deemed as highly symbolic and comes in response to the Islamic Republic's violent crackdown on protesters amid weeks of nationwide anti-government demonstrations. The political decision was taken on Thursday during a meeting of foreign affairs ministers in Brussels, with its formal adoption expected to arrive in the coming days.
Those who operate through terror must be treated as terrorists. Ministers also imposed sanctions on those responsible for the brutal crackdown of protests, including the Minister of Interior. Repression cannot go unanswered.
The terror designation will introduce an asset freeze, a prohibition on the provision of funds, and a travel ban on all standing members of the IRGC. Many IRGC members are already subject to these very restrictions under the regular EU sanctions regime. The breakthrough was made possible after France, Spain, and Belgium, who had concerns about the designation, had a change of heart on Wednesday, a day before the meeting. The Revolutionary Guard Corps are accused of orchestrating violent repressions of protests in Iran and of using lethal force to tame opposition. They're also accused of supplying weapons to Russia in its war on Ukraine, as well as to Iran's various proxies, from Hezbollah to Hamas to the Houthis. The EU now joins the ranks of the US, Canada, and Australia, who have all already designated the IRGC as a terror group.
US President Donald Trump said that Russian leader Vladimir Putin had agreed to not target Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities for 1 week as the country faces freezing winter temperatures. Russia has not yet responded or confirmed the statement. Earlier in the week, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov was asked about a potential mutual halt on strikes on energy infrastructure. Peskov had refused to comment.
I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kiev and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold, record-setting cold.
Дякую американській стороні за зусилля, щоб в цей час зупинити удари по енергетиці, і сподіваємось, що Америці вдасться це забезпечити.
The development comes as Kyiv is about to head into another stretch of frigid weather, with temperatures expected to drop to -30 degrees Celsius. Russia has been battering Ukraine's energy grid amid the freezing weather. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced last week that over half of all homes in Kyiv were without heating, and most of the city was cut off from electricity as a result of the strikes.
At this airbase in southwestern France, fighter jets are taking off under unusual conditions. The warning was sudden. The squadron had just a few hours to prepare for an enemy strike on one of its neighboring air bases. The test was to see how fast they could evacuate aircraft and personnel while remaining combat ready.
On sait qu'il y a des possibilités d'exercice. Après, on n'est pas informé des dates et donc on a eu le préavis très faible. Et à ce moment-là, l'escadre a redispatché les avions et nous on se tenait prêts à être déployés dans les heures qui ont suivi.
Some aircraft were even given simulated breakdowns to test how fast ground crews could respond. In total, up to 20 fighter jets and 145 personnel were dispersed across 4 air bases in France. 24 hours later, the exercise ended with a simulated strike on enemy planes. The scenario reflects what the military calls high-intensity warfare, a clear lesson drawn from Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
C'est des menaces classiques désormais que vous rencontrez sur les théâtres de guerre actuels. Par exemple, une attaque de drones qui viennent de très très loin et qui viendraient saturer la défense de la base aérienne.
The message is clear. Quickly dispersing fighter jets is essential in the face of imminent threats.
Crowds stood for a minute of silence at the Ski World Cup in Crans, Montana, to honor the victims of a fire that claimed dozens of lives at a bar during New Year's celebrations. Event banners around the venue can also be seen bearing a memorial inscription in honor of the victims. 40 people lost their lives in the fire while 116 were injured. The French owners of the Swiss bar, Jacques and Jessica Moretti, are suspected of negligent homicide, negligent bodily harm and causing a fire by negligence. Investigators believe that sparkling candles ignited the fire when they came too close to the ceiling, which was outfitted with soundproofing material. They are looking into whether the material conformed with regulations and whether the candles were permitted for use in the bar.
30 years after his death, Nigerian Afrobeat legend Fela Kuti is set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award at this year's Grammys. He'll be the first African to achieve the honour since the award was introduced in 1963. Kuti pioneered the Afrobeat style in the 1960s and 70s with drummer Tony Allen, fusing influences from West African music with American soul, funk and jazz. Across an almost 30-year career, Kuti released more than 50 albums until his death in 1997 at the age of 58. But his influence is still present. One of the nominees for this year's Best Global Music Album is Nigerian superstar Burna Boy, who's called Fela Kuti the only African artist greater than me. Kuti's family and friends will attend Sunday's Grammy ceremony to accept the award.
Discovered back in 1912, this Republican-era home has remained largely unknown for more than a century, but that's about to change. From March, House of the Griffins, dating back to between the late 2nd and the mid-1st century BC, which we were given exclusive access to, will finally open to the public.
Cioè, in questo caso noi abbiamo la casa più antica dell'epoca repubblicana a Roma, finora almeno testimoniata, e soprattutto la casa che mantiene un elevato sistema decorativo sia nei pavimenti che nelle pareti. Quindi noi abbiamo, diciamo, un canale di informazione di quello che era un sistema di vita in età repubblicana, come non.
The conservation project, like many others in the area, was made possible thanks to funding from the EU's Post-COVID Recovery Fund. Visitors will be able to explore the site through a remotely accessible, real-time guided experience, allowing the public to discover the site while protecting its fragile remains, a solution designed to preserve the artifacts that have survived for centuries.
Il tentativo con il progetto del PNRR era rivolgersi a un'accessibilità totale, l'accessibilità totale intesa per tutti, legata però alla possibilità di fruire la visione della domus e degli affreschi, anche con degli apparati, diciamo, multimediali evocativi della casa, che quindi ci consentono anche di vedere come la casa effettivamente era nel suo momento, diciamo, di vita, ma ovviamente è impossibile in questo momento, così come abbiamo la fruizione, perché non solo per un problema conservativo degli affreschi, ma anche perché l'unico sistema di discesa alla casa è una scala molto ripida, originale, e quindi non abbiamo la possibilità, diciamo, al momento di offrire un sistema alternativo.
After centuries, the doors of this luxurious multi-level residence, believed to have once belonged to a wealthy Roman senator, are reopening, offering a rare and vivid glimpse into daily life in ancient Rome.
Ildiko Igneti's new film, Silent Friend, is a sensitive philosophical work produced as a German-French-Hungarian co-production with the support of the Hungarian National Film Institute. Already a success at the Venice Film Festival, it is being screened in Hungarian cinemas from the end of January. Last year, Silent Friend won 6 awards at the Venice Film Festival. The movie tells 3 stories of tentative encounters between humans and plants.
Az volt a legnagyobb öröm, hogy nagyon sok mindenről tudtunk ebben a filmben beszélni, ami nagyon régóta, de tényleg kamaszkorom óta foglalkoztat, és eddig nagyon indirekt módon szivárgott csak be a filmjeimbe. Most meg tulajdonképpen a központi témája az, hogy természetről, kommunikációról, emberek kapcsolódásáról lehetett beszélni.
Iconic Hong Kong actor Tony Leung Chiu-wai, who plays the character of Tony, recalled the process of preparing for the role.
He could provide me a lot of materials to work on, the neuroscience and books about plants. And I asked Idiko, what else do I need to prepare for the character? And she said, nothing. I just need you to be there. I said, okay, then let's do it on set.
The latest film from the Golden Bear winner and Oscar-nominated director of On Body and Soul is set in the botanical garden in Marburg, Germany. A key role is played by a distant transplanted ginkgo biloba tree that has been observing the life around it for almost 200 years, plants, animals and humans alike.
Beobachten uns und denken alle möglichen Dinge über uns.
Das stimmt.